So we're going to make a little video for Mr. Miles here so you can have one spot that you can go to check out all of the different skills that we've covered. So the first exercise that we're going over is relax on a mat. And what we want from him is for him to come on over to the mat, very good, and give us a nice relaxed body posture. And so this is him in a DOWN, and then ideally when he rests his little chin down, then he is as relaxed as he can possibly be. Very good, sir, very good. So this really relaxed body posture will allow him to work through situations where he gets overly excited or anxious in the future moving forward. So it's emotional intelligence in a nutshell, and has all sorts of great applications. I've had folks use it for dog-friendly hotels, for plane rides, and initially we used it for fearful dogs and aggressive dogs, and then just realized that every dog should have this tool in their toolbox, which is basically the capacity, perfect, to calm myself down and relax myself. So very, very impactful tool, very, very important, and one that you'll want to practice more frequently, and for little short periods of time is fine. So you can do it for 30 seconds to 3 minutes, and initially do it daily, and then after that point you could do it, every couple days. That's fine, but just like to keep that one super, super fresh for our pups. These next exercises we're going over are clickerable exercises. So the clicker pinpoints the moment that Miles has done what we're looking for. So we want a strong name recognition. So these first exercises, I'm going to take a treat, drag it up towards my face. Miles, as soon as he makes eye contact, I'm going to clicker that moment. Then I'm going to do it with no click. Miles, great eye contact, very good. I'm going to toss a treat on the ground over here. Miles, wait for him to look back at me. Then I like to work on some recall after that. Miles, come. Oh, drop a treat over here. Good. Miles, come. So with all of these skills, you can always increase the difficulty or make it easier with distance and distraction. So with recall, you can do some fun stuff. I'm going to toss a treat around the corner here. Miles, come. He's got to come find me. It's really great to do with a partner. So you hide around corners in your house, and your dog has to come find you purely off of an auditory response. So really, really fun exercise and really, really helpful. So again, if we're doing that from a great distance, he's really kicking butt inside, then we can go in the backyard, try the same thing, but shorten up the distance, then get further and further away over time. And then I like to go into the front yard, put him on a long leash, again, shorten up the distance, then get further and further and further away, and then eventually take him to a park with all sorts of crazy stuff going on. But just systematically increase the difficulty when we're doing great, and if we're having a tough time and we're not doing so great, we can always make it easier. So he's got an excellent foundation. So Miles, come. Sit. Miles, down. So one thing about his down, he does have a tendency to spring up right after he has done his down. I click usually as soon as a dog's elbows hit the floor is when they've completed it. However, I've started to wait for slightly longer periods of time, so you can wait for 3 to 5 seconds with Mr. Miles to let him know, hey, you're down, and now hang out for a second. Now you've completed your mission. And that's really the beauty of the clicker, is that it pinpoints the moment when your dog has completed whatever behavior it is that you're looking for. And so great, he's doing a down, he understands that, but then we're going to sculpt that behavior a little bit more, continuing on with that, sorry, I got a frog in my throat. Continuing on with that, making it a little more challenging, and then I'm going to say, okay, we're going to actually make it about 3 seconds that you're down, then we'll click. So you can always craft the behavior with your clicker. So one other thing that we're gonna go over is a down and a stay. And so because he springs up immediately once he's done his down, what I'm gonna do is he's not completely finished when he's doing a down and a stay. I'm gonna say good boy once he's done his down, then tell him stay, walk away from him, and then when I click is when he's actually finished with the behavior. So a good boy means yes, you're doing the right thing, and you're moving in the right direction, but the click means you are actually finished with that behavior. So I'm gonna walk away from him, call him over and actually show you what that looks like. So Miles, down. Good boy, stay. Good boy, good boy. Very good job, sir. So that's what that should look like. Miles, touch. This is our targeting exercise. We want Miles to be able to position himself exactly where we need him to be. I like to use it for loose leash walking, get a dog positioned. If we're out in public and we're a little bit distracted, I can get him positioned and get him focused back in on me. It has all sorts of fun applications. You can use it for it's the precursor to agility training, simply following a target. But again, really, really great exercise to have in your toolbox. Let's get a little closer to the camera on this one so you can get a better view and do it from the side here. So this is a leave it. I'm going to put my hand down in front of his face. I really want him to give me a pretty definitive pullback. So you see what this looks like. Leave it. Good. And on this one, I like to treat him from the ground so he doesn't get anything from my hand once we're doing a leave it exercise. Leave it. Oh. One side note on this, it's great to work with some different items to get him used to leave it means whatever it is that you're interested in. You need to leave. Leave it. Good job, bud. Very good. Oh. So any dog toys, ropes, balls, anything. And again, help him to make a more universal understanding. One thing to take note of, he hasn't done much of that, any demand barking. He barked at me just then when we were going through the exercises. And so I'm never going to give him attention, give him treats or anything for a bark if we're working together. So I would simply wait until he is quiet and then usually till he gives me a calm behavior. If he was barking repetitively at me, then I would just give him about 3 seconds. I would count 1, 2, 3. If he's quiet, then I'd give him a treat and give him some affection. But I don't want to, immediately react to that. A lot of times, usually people could immediately no or any sort of attention. So I just ignore it until he gives me a good behavior. Is the way that we like to handle demand barking. So next we're going to go over a space exercise. This is our anti-jumping exercise. So we've actually worked on this a lot with the kids, and he's done an excellent job. So with me, he did great right off the bat, and then needed a little more work with the kids, and he's been very successful. So what we're looking for is about a 2-foot bubble around us where Miles will stop shy and give me space. So I'm going to be stationary and be about 2 feet away in that vicinity. So Mr. Miles is coming towards me. I'm going to get him excited a little bit. Miles. Space. Oh, again, I like to treat from the ground on this one. So leave it and space. So we can treat from the ground. Miles. Space. Very good. Try one from behind. Space. Good. Miles. Space. Good. So you notice I tried some from the side, some from behind, and then some from in front. So I wanted to where there's like a little imaginary bubble around me and he understands regardless of where he's positioned in relation to me, he's going to stop and give me some space. So you can do this for yourself. You can also do this for someone else. So if he's doing it for the kids, what it looks like is if they were the bench here, he he would come up, I'd say space, he would stop, and then run back over to me. I'll show you exactly what that looks like during our exit session, but again, you can use it for yourself as well as someone else. So lastly, what we're going to do is get our little cutie here leashed up and go over his loose leash walking. So initially, you're going to want to practice indoors and get him nice and comfortable with that positioning and getting comfortable working with you. And then obviously you'll take him outside where we have less distraction inside, and it starts to develop that real strong foundation. So I've positioned myself to where he's right here on my right-hand side, and I'm saying, this is where you need to be, this is where you need to be, very good. Then I'm gonna do a little semicircle. He hits that spot right by my knee. Another little semicircle. Hits that spot, another little circle over here. Now we're taking some steps. Now 1, 2, 3 this way. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just increasing the amount of paces that we're going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Touch. So it was kind of funny. I was turning back towards him, and so he was scooting around, kind of trying to get out of my way. But you'll notice he was slightly out in front. So I simply put my hand down, tell him touch, and then he hits that spot right by my hand. So it's or he touches my hand with his nose. That's why it's so useful to have targeting in your arsenal. So if we were walking, if I would get tension in the leash, I'm never going to move forward. And so this slack in the leash is hugely important. I want him to know that anytime he feels tension, something is off. And if he gets out in front more than one time, gets out in front, I'll say Miles, he can come back to the spot, we can say touch, get him back here. If he immediately goes again, then I'll change directions on him. So if he was out here, he was out in front, we were walking, we'll say he was pulling on me, then I would simply turn this way, say Miles, and I want to give him an opportunity to then follow after me. So it really gets him in the mode of looking for me and then also following after me. Another thing that's been hugely beneficial with our little guy is clickering for eye contact. So particularly when we go outside, every time that he looks at me, I'm going to clicker that moment and let him know that I like it when he checks in with me. That's really been a huge factor for Mr. Miles here. So if we're walking along, he's pretty much staring at me right here, but we really reinforced that. So, now he's just staring at me. But I'll show you what it looks like when we're in the great outdoors. We're gonna sign off here and get the camera repositioned in the opposite direction. So we're going to sign off here and then re-sign on in just a moment and walk outside and continue our loose leash walking.